we had a little bit of a trouble with executive coaching. When we brought in this was like unbottling something. So we did unbottle something that raised change readiness. And learning doesn't happen by itself and needs to be assisted both by people and any tech like this that comes just in time. When the Pandatron micro coach says, it seems like I had this advice. It seems like you have two colliding needs at the same time. And the advice that came out was like a truly good advice. It said, sometimes you needed to embrace that conflict.
Wow.
From both sides. And like I wanted to hug the AI machine at that time. And because that was just in time.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast, Ready to Transform, a podcast by Pandatron for all of those interested in change, transformation, leadership, and AI. Today, we're going to be talking about how to scale leadership excellence in Skanska. And we have our friend Mattias Magnell, who pioneered embedding AI coaching into talent development in Skanska. A little bit about Mattias. He is responsible for leader development in Skanska Sweden. He's pioneered implementing innovative L&D approaches in the construction industry. And we'll talk about Skanska in a moment for those of you who are not familiar with the organization. He's a future-oriented leader, sort of cutting-edge kind of guy, you could say, and the visionary who helped, figure out maybe this AI coaching thing has potential for cultural transformation, and who brought us, Pandatron, into the Skanska ecosystem to do a project there. Mattias, thanks for being here today.
It's so good to be here. Thanks, Robert.
Thank you. Thank you. And then, of course, my partner in crime, the other usual suspect, the co-founder of Pandatron and the head of content and the man whose last name I don't botch anymore, Lauri Paloheimo. He's also certified business coach. By the way, I'm very proud that I say your last name really great now. I'm so proud.
Yeah. You've done a lot of effort. It's way better than in the earlier season. So
yeah, I think you're relieved actually. But anyway, he's a certified business coach and also systemic coach, which is very important to us at Pandatron. And he is quite the man combining sort of AI technology with coaching methodologies, and that's actually, easier said than done. He has a background in organization development and change management, and he's a pioneer in developing conversational AI for leader development. Now to Skanska, just as a bit of a summary, founded not last century, but the one before that, right, Mattias? 1887. So founded in the 19th century. That's fascinating. A leader in construction and project development, project management, based in Sweden, over 27,000 employees across the globe, 14 billion plus a year in annual revenues. They're known for being innovative and focused in sustainable designs, whether it's office buildings, smart homes, infrastructure, etc. And I guess, as I told them, I think they operate in a gazillion countries, a couple of planetary systems, and a few multiverses as well.
Summarize it all.
Yeah, exactly. At least they probably have those aspirations. But let's begin. And I want to start with, again, we're talking about construction and how do you sort of transform leadership to AI at scale in this sector, and I guess, Mattias, I'm going to ask you first, what gaps were you seeing when we did the project on how leaders were sort of being developed, right, across operations in Skanska, right? Could you share a bit of that? What were some of the gaps that you perhaps saw?
All right. So there is always a communication issue when it comes down to building things. We're building and materializing, of course, a good life in between the buildings as well.
Yep.
We have to take that into consideration. There's a lot of stakeholders whenever you are building a bridge, a house, hotel, or a hospital. Would be pretty much all those kind of things that you mentioned. In 13 countries, as it is. We pulled back a little bit during the years. And the reason for that is that we're very considerate about the culture and the possibility to to make an operation that is as ethical as it can be, and
Mm-hmm.
as is trustworthy as it should be. And so we're pretty much emphasizing the ability to talk to each other and make development happen in a good and positive way. And to do that, we need to have really good, solid conversations. And we have to
Right.
have conversations across all these countries, of course, starting out with the headquarter here in Sweden, uh, bringing ideas and folks and skills and knowledge to the different
Yeah.
countries like Poland, Romania, UK, US.
So, because what you say is interesting, because when you're thinking of leadership at a global scale, you're talking about not just integrating centers of excellence for performance, but you have language challenges, cultural challenges, time zone challenges. It's really a complex endeavor to do that. And I want to go to Lauri. Lauri, when Matthias first approached you, right? What did you hear? What did you hear were like from your vantage point? How did you see? Okay, here are the pain points that I'm hearing from his team.
So when we first met with Matthias, I remember it already went into the big picture level, as we could easily see that you saw that there is this need in construction to not just being fully hands-on, because that's not where you make the breakthroughs in sustainability and innovation, but instead, on top of that, you want to embed a holistic set of managerial skills, different types of soft skills, even skills related to well-being, where people could work in a more sustainable manner. And in a sense, how I saw it is that you were trying to find tools to realize these capabilities that are necessary for competitive organizations in the future. And seeing that the traditional workshop format, while it works, is not that cost effective, and you cannot bring back to the actual construction site with you. But instead, with artificial intelligence, it's with your Android or your iPhone, you basically can do it anywhere, whenever. And yeah, that's how we started our journey together already a while ago.
And let me tell the audience, we have on our own, Pandatron.ai, we have a great paper on how you can use, AI coaching for leader development, and it's sort of a comparison of traditional methodologies versus AI based, and just to kind of get you thinking. Uh, Now, Matthias, you you were an innovator, right? Because AI is just coming out, and you're saying, you know what, this AI coaching thing, we got to try it. I mean, uh,
Mhm.
on a very probably you're looking at an industry that takes many years to develop things. Projects last very long. I'm sure sales cycles are long, and you're like, let's go with this now. What was that
Yeah,
experience like?
yeah. That's a good question, and I mean, I want to add a little bit, Robert, as well, since there is a long time to sales process coming through. There are permits that needs to be established, and then we build for a couple of years, and then the building, whatever it is, actually will be around for 100 or 150 years, as long as we've been around here. So there's still bridges and roads and houses that were built 1887, of course, nothing new. But when you come to think about that, it's so important to understand that we are a collaborative business, and it's a people business consisting of people that are very task oriented, and they should be and they must be.
Hmm.
And the task undertaken is so needed to be put forward in a safe and reliable way, because safety is of importance for the customer, for the society, and us as well. So when we then had the idea that we should look into how executive coaching could assist our engineers in their everyday pursuit of building in a trustworthy and safe way, we had already understood that safety and well-being is sort of uh, two things that could go hand in hand. We should not stop on just being in the forefront when it comes down to bring bring down and catering and handling risk and lowering those events that is so hurtful for the company, for the people, for their families.
Yeah.
And and then the Pandatron had 15 minutes to speak to me regarding my curiosity. And yes, it's a luxury. There are pretty few companies that would like to impress us, and they have really good things. So I could tell you that story, but Robert, I want to make sure that I'm still on target with your question.
Yes, yes, of course. Well, you are, because we're talking about you're an innovator in the sense
Yeah,
that you said,
yeah,
let's use AI coaching,
yeah.
not just executive coaching, whereas other people's maybe thinking, let's just use traditional executive coaching. You went
Yes,
above and
yes,
beyond that in a
yeah.
truly innovative way at a moment where nobody was doing this.
No, and we had a little bit of a trouble with the executive coaching because it wasn't for everybody. It's like everybody don't want to use team or the phone or so they want to have meetings face to face, perhaps, or not. They might prefer talking to people on the phone, um, or just send an email. So preferred ways of communicating is of importance here. And we saw that the executive coaching worked so good for 1/3 of our managers. 1/3 thought it would be really good for their friends and colleagues, and 1/3 say, "Nah, it's really not that much for me."
Interesting.
Yes.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
And Lottie, let me kind of bring you back in here. I wanted to ask you about some blind spots that you saw, but also if you could chime in a little to what Matthias is saying, maybe sort of contrasting, executive coaching versus AI coaching, some of the experiences that you've seen, in our reports about people reaching vulnerability and just access and all that. Could you share a bit of that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I remember as we were basically one of the first who started doing this with people like Matthias, and at that point, it was interesting to see that there was already this certain amount of people who responded really well, which I could in a sense see that they were the early adopters of the curve. It would be very interesting right now in 2025 to see like with the adoption curve being as it is, what would be the current ratio? But based on how would I say to the cases that we are currently working with, it seems that around 50 to 75% of people seem to be benefiting from coaching, as understandably both the technology and also the market adaptability has been moving forward quite rapidly during the last couple of years because of the AI revolution. So yeah, it's if we in a sense look into the what is that called? The Gaussian curve, it kind of actually went as it classically did already a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I do think that innovation curve has accelerated dramatically. We talked, Matthias, about people, doing bring your chat GPT to work if companies don't have, some sort of AI chatbot. Although I will say that somebody asked me recently, well, aren't you just like ChatGPT or Copilot? And I share with this person a complete framework how I would say ChatGPT and Copilot are great. They're like a nice Lexus from or like a Lamborghini, tailored specifically for leadership change, is systemic coaching, is programmatic, is intentional. It is a different thing. But back to you, Matthias, as we engage with Skanska and having these AI coaching conversations, what maybe things were you discovering, from those conversations that perhaps you didn't see before in traditional methods? Any moments you go, whoa, that didn't see that coming,
Oh
or I
yeah, would
suspected that it was validated.
yeah. I think I got this right, Robert. So we thought we should try this out with a group. We started out with a group of 24, and 1/3 loved it. As we were just telling them that this is new technology, and we wanted to try it, and they thought it was high tech, and they loved it. 1/3 said this could be something in the future, and definitely I would like to try it. And I knew a couple of people that wants to, and 1/3 said, "Nah, it's not for me." And it's all down to at this starting point, it's like 1/10 of the cost of the executive coaching.
Yeah, it's a lot less now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
When we started out, all right. So that means that even when we started out with this new technology, I had to, of course, frame it, and I had to do one exceptionally important thing. You see, we basically can't and should not use material or technologies or methods or tools that is not evidence based, because there's so much around them. But then Pandatron made it trustworthy that this is built on really good, solid coaching questions. I know since I have a background from psychology, I know that we started here pretty early to train our psychologists and therapists and coaches in putting the good questions up there. But this kind of training was sort of both helping us when we decided to go ahead. It was sort of both helping us with leadership training and leader development. So particular things that you wanted to know, you were assisted with an unmeasurable way the knowledge gathered, the systematic information gathered and brought instantly back to our managers. We're
Right.
helping them with really clear problems in a coaching in what do we call that, in a good coaching way. But then also we made it of importance that we can't start this without having a solid way to follow up the effects. All right, so we do plan, we plan, do, check, and act. All right, so it's the PDCA circle, and that's all we do all the time. That's our profession. We plan, we do, check, and the act is of importance. So that is, of course, included in our quality management system as well. And we want to develop our leaders precisely in the same way.
Yeah, and something we've seen, Matthias, is time and time again, is that not only do you provide coaching to leaders and employees in general, which we're using as well at scale, but one of the things that we're learning is that even as leaders are being coached, not only they're receiving coaching from the Panda AI coach, but they're beginning to mimic the coaching behaviors of the Panda AI coach in their employees, which is like an added value, right?
Mhm.
Uh, but specifically, sort of getting back to construction
Yeah.
and Lottie, if you can maybe reminisce a little, when we did this project, anything that surprised you, right, from the construction professionals that were engaged, that maybe you did see coming or you think is worth highlighting?
Even though like we had this angle of capability development related to leadership skills, well-being, soft skills, etc., there was this almost like a meta value for multiple participants, where they figured out that this way of activating people to think more about more options and thinking more differently with questions is something that they can directly apply to their work at the construction site. So I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. But when I thought about it a little bit, I was just that this makes complete sense actually. That of course people are going to figure out like what works, be it like formally or informally, and then they are going to apply it into their profession. And I think on top of that, what surprised me and was in a sense that how many people felt that one of the core values was having this weekly small slot for planning and prioritizing their work, because it is a messy environment. There's a lot of things happening. There's lots of people you are responsible of. So sitting down on your computer or your mobile phone and in a sense putting things in order, that seemed to be one of the core values that many people did benefit from, not just based on our data, but also because we did work with 3 coaching researchers with this project. They did also validate the same. same conclusion. And that's actually one thing that I did love very much with this project was that how intimately the participants were giving feedback to the researchers, as this was one of the first empirical studies that was done on AI coaching in the whole world a couple of years ago. So it was really
cool.
really doing cutting edge stuff.
That's cool.
Now AI is everywhere, so
Yeah, it is everywhere, but I still gonna pat ourselves on the back, which is we were at the Change conference, and somebody was making a presentation around using AI coaching specifically for change and transformation, like digital transformations, major organizational transformations. Of course, it helps leadership also across organization, and she was using Pandatron as an example. Um, and somebody from the audience, I was there, somebody from the audience says, I'm glad you, explained this tool that can help, in major transformations, whether it's digital, cultural, etc. Are there any other, AI coaching tools that have such a strong focus around change, transformation, etc.? And she says, I'm sure there will, but right now, this is the only tool that's out there. Which, again, pat ourselves on the back because I think there are great tools out there. Quite frankly, I think a lot of organizations using Copilot is great, and ChatGPT, and even some of the L&D tools for coaching, but they seem to be more broad based. And I think Pandatron has done a great job and narrowly focusing on something that is really tied to organizational results, big time results, right? And so to you and Dima, the co-founders, great thinking there. But back to Skanska, Matthias, you saw some of the research, some of the reports. Uh, eh, as you think of, say, traditional workshops and the surveys that you get from events versus the kind of data you were getting from AI coaching, any patterns that sort of emerge that perhaps before you didn't see as clearly?
Mm, absolutely. There were two clear ones. The first is that we could see benefits, net benefits to the organization instantly. Because these guys, included in leadership development, they bring their own cases. They have cases that they should be working with, and they brought in their cases to the coaching session we had at that time. Micro coaching, and we
Hmm.
had the more longer ones. So they had a blast already. Like, what is the most important thing you need to do right now when it comes down to driving change in your change project? That kind of a question or theme, and that is a good question when you start your day, isn't it? Like, what is the top two, and you go ahead with that, and trust your luck and go ahead, or whatever could be the
Yeah.
thing. Secondly, they had, as that was going on, they were sort of opening up for development. We're a truly reliable and conservative business, all right. We're not the fastest one when it comes down to new technology in overall. Anything that is put into a building should be proven for 20 years. Yeah, unless it's, so we follow up for 20 years and we say yes, that is probably not harmful. We should go ahead with that. So all right, so it takes a while, but here we can't wait because well, guys, it's there's tech tech development going on, whether we want it or not. So I said, let's go with this minimum viable product that were brought to the table. They had the Pandatron team with Lauri and the rest telling me a little bit things like we could do fast change curves, and when it comes down to this project, and I actually used the micro coaching for the project in itself. Yeah, so yeah, that was sort of strengthening the idea, and I was one of the early adopters, of course, of course.
We should get you. We should get you an early adopter clap for Pandatron.
Yeah,
Pandatron, I'm an early
yeah.
adopter. You
Uh,
know, we'll make it
take
gold
that.
instead
I
of
would take that
silver.
as a promise, and I truly think that have similar things to Lauri and the team when it comes to impressing us. Because anyway, you mentioned the coaches, Lauri, and the researchers within coaching. So there were Mid East, Mid Europe, and then the best Finnish researcher, of course.
Yeah, Finland, Lauri, that's
three
right.
three universities, and we're still looking at what comes out of all the efforts that they put into when it comes to how to show the efficiency of this way to operate. So I guess it's action learning and action research that we've been
Yeah.
included in. And I didn't tell anyone. I just say respond to the questionnaires and please provide information to the researchers and the company while you're at it as we go along, because we need to understand a lot of things. And during the development phase, we all of a sudden we it was close to Christmas, as I recall, and all of a sudden it was in Swedish as well. It's a small language that everybody should know, of course. But all of a sudden we could keep going in Swedish, and that brought a couple of more people into the to the idea of having their own Pandatron coaching session on Teams. We were using Teams and still
Yeah.
are.
Well, listen, I think that you may be right about Swedish because I live in the U.S., but whenever I visit our headquarters office in Finland, every sign I see is in Finnish and Swedish. So at least the Finns agree with you, right? Yeah.
It should be the reverse. That we have more Finnish signs here in Sweden. It's a brother country, of course.
That's right. That's right. Well, listen, Lauri, back to you. Just thinking of not just Skanska, but if you take it to a broader experience, right? When you think of coaching insights uh, that you get, right, versus traditional engagements, whether it is executive coaching or whether it is workshops, from your vantage point and experience, right? What would you say are like different, better, takeaways, insights that you can get? I think the audience will be interested in knowing a bit about that.
I think the traditional models, they do still work with professionals, but I think that they are going to become way more relationship based and small, focusing on the depth and small scale. However, like with the new AI capabilities, uh, I think that there's a false dichotomy between breadth and depth, because I actually do think that we can scale depth with the current set of technologies, because the AI is able to adapt into both not just the user input, but even their position, their title, their objectives, like the department that they are in. The more and more context there is, the more personalized it becomes. With the addition of having an actual memory, understanding the patterns long term, making the users more aware of what they might not be seeing, but should in order to benefit. And I think this is where AI truly does shine, because it doesn't just develop the capabilities of individuals and give them the necessary feedback for their development, but on aggregate it gives whole organizations feedback for their development by, in a sense, unveiling the potential blind spots, the bottlenecks, the friction points, the conflicts that people are thinking, but they might not be aware of. And that's, where I personally do see the promise of AI coaching, is that it actually helps us to understand ourselves and also each other better in order to have more functional organizations, because change is constant and an accelerating one, and we need new technologies in order to not just keep up, but get ahead of the curve. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. And one of the things that the Pandatron has been doing is adding components in something that we call change confidence. Matthias, this is a bit newer. So now, as we develop programs, we actually can providing our reports to our customers, sort of an index, a change confidence index, which is great because what we've seen, Pandatron got a great report, which is real business results with Pandatron. And one of the things that you see in that report is that 75% of users self-reported increase in change confidence, meaning, and like Lauri said, change is a constant. Now, not only
Mm,
that, is faster. So change confidence is fundamental,
mm.
right? So that was really, really insightful to me to see that report and the fact that we can do that. But to you, what would you say from your vantage point, as a leader in the L&D space, in the construction industry and overall, in all those multiverses you guys exist? Uh, what would you say are the parts of traditional development that may become a little less necessary with AI coaching being available as well? How would they complement each other? But what we should be doing less of because of that?
What comes to my mind is change readiness. We've been working with change readiness for such a long time.
Yeah.
And the change readiness is closely tied to change confidence, of course. And it's like whatever there is, if you don't think you have the time, you probably won't even try. All right, if you do
Right.
believe that there is enough time and resources, you might try, but you might not be that keen on putting in all the efforts needed uh, when it comes down to finding the time and making the quality happen in whatever sense we're looking at right now. So we actually know that the change readiness for our managers were sort of a little bit low. Don't tell our uh, competitors and not our clients as well. So change readiness wasn't that high because we were sort of looking into how to be very reliable on the tools existing, whatever we're talking about in the industry. All right. But when we brought in this was like unbottling something. Is that a saying in US?
Yes.
No,
Yes,
it's like,
indeed. I
okay,
use
good.
exactly what you mean.
If we have US, Sweden, and Finland, sometimes that could be sort of a hassle to understand. But good, fair enough. Unbottling. So we did unbottle something that raised change readiness, or at least opened up for a
Yeah.
new way to think about it. And then after a little while came the change confidence. And I'm so happy to hear because we received reports that we brought back to the people that has been working, whether individual ideas and needs. And are you hearing this one? Are you?
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. And now the waterfall started. Is that
Well, it's a great feature for a podcast. Leave it on, man. It's
all
wonderful.
right? Good. So maybe it's like if you have that full waterfall method and you want to bring up the business plan,
Well,
you
well
need
played.
this.
I see how you added waterfall to that. Well played.
So that is going on like a meter behind me here. All right.
Yeah.
So
Well, let me, Ladi, I think that what Matthias said is sort of interesting. Like something got, unbottled, right? And you almost prepared, Matthias, you prepared Lottie for the next question, which is, uh, I want to use unbottle. Where did you maybe notice as you saw through this, people becoming unbottled or as you would say, relieved or unburdened through coaching? What were the liberator components that you felt based on what you've seen, Lauri,
Mm,
or unbottled? You can
mm.
share some of that with us. That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think the answer is multitude. Where I think one that is implied by just their openness to adopt passively new types of new ways of leading people, such as coaching. I think one that got so quote unquote unbottled was attitude, like attitude towards learning and attitude towards trying out new things. And it's not an easy thing to do, especially in a conservative industry that is like highly standardized. So that's definitely something that we could see is that people could become more creative and question things in how they are doing things as they are used to for god knows how long. Another I think was that what got unbottled was this sense of commitment to their self-development. That okay, they are figuring out new experiments, they are figuring out new ways to lead their people, they are figuring out new ways to lead their work, etc., etc. The fact that they do these experiments and commit to them and learn from these results, basically in a PDCA manner, as Mattias was saying, we try to align that with that framework with our way of doing micro coaching. That definitely was something that I could see was getting momentum. And I also do think that people just learned a lot of new kinds of knowledge frameworks. For example, how to think about their thinking. They even got new vocabularies, for example, related to how to speak about emotional issues with the people they are leading, or how to inquire into their needs, what are their own values and how are they expressed in their work, etc., etc., etc. So
Yeah.
that all kinds of stuff I think was put into the movement, and that's the beautiful part with coaching, is that sure you see something in the short term, but actually what is the real effect is what eventually unfolds over time.
But what I find interesting, Lauri and Matthias, is that what we're seeing with the Panda AI coach experience, because it's layered on a foundation of systemic coaching. So we're always trying to get people to think of a broader picture, how things are interconnected in pursuit of an overarching corporate strategy. So it's not just ask the chatbot anything, but it's intentional. And so I do like the fact, and I'm going to use your other word now, Matthias, that what cascades out is sort of self benefit for the AI coachee,
Mm.
but also not only are we using systemic coaching, but because we can scale and then use AI to provide the insights, we can get information on systemic insights. And one of the things that I think we've learned is that although through coaching, there's a strong focus on what can we do as a coach better for this individual. With the insights, what we're able to learn is that if there are things that we can do to the 80% of the population that has this concern, it actually has a tremendous impact in the organization, in its performance, in meeting its goals, in creating better psychological safety and well-being that actually provides more engaged employees. So to me, how it all comes together, it's fascinating. But we're getting to the bottom third, if that maybe the last couple minutes to this. And uh, Matthias, I think what people want to know most, because you've been there, done that. Using Pandatron for AI coaching. What advice would you give leaders in your industry, or maybe some of those more like big traditional industries with heavy capex or heavy investment in materials that are sort of, they seem to be slow moving, but you guys are trendsetters or innovative. What advice would you give them if there were to sort of find value in using AI coaching?
Mm. All right. So first of all, be really cautious and be very particular. And when you've chosen the way forward, trust the process. The process needs to be operated. It's a learning process, of course. Strategy is a learning process. Developmental is a learning process as well. And this truly, it comes down to what Pandatron does for us and has done, is to target the learning and bringing capacity to change through the learning. And learning doesn't happen by itself. It's something that is going on within a person, and that needs to be assisted in a clever way, and needs to be assisted both by people and and any tech like this that comes just in time. You know, it's like when you have a bad day and someone cheers you up a little bit, that makes the sun come through the clouds again within, so to say. And when the Pandatron microcoach says, it seems like I had this advice. It seems like you have two colliding needs at the same time. That could be very, very rough or tough or whatever it was. It was in Swedish. I'm translating as we go on.
That's okay. Yeah.
And the advice that came out was like a truly, truly good advice. It said, sometimes you needed to embrace that conflict
Wow.
from both sides. And like I wanted to hug the AI machine at that time, and because that was just in time. It was just in time, and I thought, yes, I can. So myself as the object here when it comes down to change readiness, and keep the change going, and assisting people having the same opportunities when they needed that from
Yeah.
people in the near them, maybe physically or on a distance through any tech that we could use, assisted by the air. It's a good training tool, and it should be used, and it's targeted to driving change.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Good to
trust.
hear. Good to hear. And I do think your suggestion of sort of start small, probably a targeted project, measure, and then scale. I think to your point there, I would argue to the audience, sometimes we're looking for a lot of use cases with things we want to do, but when you're encountering a new technology, sometimes, to quote Tim Creasy from ProSci, sometimes, and yeah, Jim, I'm gonna quote you. That was a great quote, man. Uh, to create use cases is probably a great mindset. So don't wait 10 years till everybody has done this. But then you're gonna be late. The bus left. It left you. You never. It was standing in front of your bus stop, and you didn't get into it. Your competition will. So finding new use cases, small, to find the ROI, I think it's a really great idea. So this was sort of like our first construction sector project. Now, Lauri, knowing what you've learned after the project, anything you would do different with the similar industry client or project,
Mm.
in this, what would you change if anything?
Well, the technology that we would have in our disposal, as how they say, I remember like that there, you know, there were requests for a further personalization, for memory, for how would I say, for more variety, for more flexibility, and all of that. And the thing is that all of those things are very possible right now. I would be, how would I say, particularly curious also to see that, you know, on top of the uh, individual level personalization, that there would be this layer of uh, organizational objectives that are injected into it, which would then allow the AI to, identify the actual needs of the users. What is the so-called urgent and important, in order to find its way out to provide value instantly, because no one has, time for anything irrelevant. And then using that as a starting position to align what they are doing with the larger strategic organizational objectives. And because I do think that that is where the future is heading, if we talk about doing change in a systemic manner. And I don't think there is any reason to do it in any other manner, as the waterfall era
True.
ended already a while ago. Uh, you know, a plan is only as good as the factors that you can count into, and no one has all the factors. So that's why we need technologies to constantly update us on what we don't know, to update our strategies, to update our learning, to make not just more change confident organizations, but organizations where ownership of change is distributed to the people who are going through the change in a meaningful manner. And that is
That is
alignment.
so true. Yeah, Matthias, we've been with an organization that what they wanted to do was use Pandatron not just to provide coaching, but use it as a tool. So the coaching is on AI adoption, but they wanted to use it not just to sort of engender adopting AI, but also to use it as feedback loop to understand where employees in the organization want to use AI, and then inform management in terms of strategies they're going to implement, because they know they're going to get more buy-in. And as I'm sure you know, one of the biggest challenges we have with transformation is that is not the upskilling, reskilling, is not the training, is people buying in, because people can be upskill, reskill, train, retrain. They're not bought into it. We just wasted a lot of money. So a feedback loop can allow us to see this is what 80% of people are passionate about,
Mm.
right? Let's focus on that because that will stick, right? So it's I think Lottie's feedback is really interesting. And Matthias, just I'm gonna paint a picture for you. Imagine your organization where they say, "Here's a blank check.
Mm.
Use it for whatever you want to deploy AI coaching in your organization." What would you do with that? What would you? How would you use it? What would you? How would you spend that money? How would you deploy it? What groups? What kinds of goals would you aspire to have?
Mm. So we know from research already that coaching is the most bang for the buck, and this has very much made it easy to make this a scalable resource for small, medium-sized, or as we are a large company, true international as well. And we are collaborating with so many companies and with so many more people. Like, in fact, you mentioned 27,000 in the group, but we are collaborating uh, in the group in all these different countries with approximately 250,000 more people, all right, from 35 or 40,000 different companies coming in. It's a collaborate
That's crazy.
environment. And so we need to have our people in a good, let's say, in a good psychological state as often as we can, because they are of true importance to bring wealth and quality to the table, or to the buildings that we're operating and building. So put the money there, and it's not just that the I mean, conversations need to be on an ongoing basis and of a really good quality. So, as you mentioned, Bob, that it spills over when you have a really good question or meeting with someone. You bring that feeling. Almost sometimes, whatever they say, you bring. There is a saying right now that is popping up everywhere, like what people did or said, you can't remember what how they made you feel. And so, having people that makes you feel good and having an AI coach that makes you feel good as well is of importance, I think, for people and perhaps even humanity. And this is something that people should have the opportunity to have a very solid, reliable, highly skilled coach, and that could sometimes be very well catered to through the so put the
Well,
numbers up there. We're not using checks anymore, Robert, though, in Sweden. We're a digital nation here. But I get the idea. All right. So I would write in many, perhaps, okay, it has to be in equivalence what you pay people as well. You don't want to spend more on the AI coach than you do on people.
yeah, so we'll just call it budget for now, right? But quite insightful. Lauri, if you had an unlimited budget, I'm just gonna throw this question as well. And a company tells you you have this unlimited budget to sort of to deploy AI coaching, the Panda AI coach experience and organization. You can give me like we're running out of time, like a 1 minute answer. What would you do with that budget? How would you deploy? What would you recommend somebody does, an organization does?
Hmm, they say. I think I would start from the bigger picture, which is like breaking down the most crucial organizational objectives related to competition. You know, what the market is demanding, what kind of new opportunities are arising, where they are scarce, and then a lot using the AI to align that bigger picture and strategic objectives to the most granular level on every organization, so everyone has a very clear picture of what does my everyday work mean for our strategy this year. Because very often, even in smaller organizations, people do lose the forest from the trees, and that is really not that good for competition at all. So having an AI to help us remember, while at the same time helping us to understand what we don't understand, I think would be the killer combo. If you want this, universal answer, that would be mine.
Yeah, that's pretty slick, man. Pretty good stuff. Thank you. I'll write you a check. Uh, just don't try to cash it in Sweden. Okay, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
We're gonna leave in here, but before we go, I'm just gonna ask you, Mattias,
Mm.
if you were to describe your experience using the Panda AI coach
Mhm.
in one word,
Mm.
what word would you use?
Sustainable competitive advantage.
Okay, you're cheating. That's not one word, but we will take it. We'll say that's what one word is translated to Swedish. We'll take it,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Mattias, Lauri, thank you so much for this engaging and fun conversation. To the audience, thank you for sticking with us, and we'll see you next time. Until then, just stay ready to transform. Hey everyone, thanks for listening to this episode of Ready to Transform. If you enjoyed it, we've got more for you beyond the podcast. Join Pandatron's Learning Lab for early access to our newest AI coaching tracks, a chance to network with industry peers, and exclusive sessions with some of the world's top thought leaders. You'll find the details in the episode description. See you next time, and until then, be ready to transform.